Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pump Up the Jam, where we give you the A to Z on everything happening with Meghan Markle and American Riviera Orchard. I'm Kinsey Schofield.
And I'm Cristo here in London. How are you, Kinsey?
I'm good. Today, right now, okay, so this airs at 11 a.m. my time. And Princess Lily was actually born on this day at 11:40 a.m. So this is basically a Lily birthday party. If you didn't get the memo, happy birthday to Lily. We have so much to dissect when it comes to not only Lily's birthday, but a potential Meghan Markle suit's comeback. How many times have we talked about this story? The palace ripping, one of Harry's very important messages to the press off the website. And we've also got to talk about, the First Lady of Nigeria going, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not exactly what I meant when she made all of those headlines last week over her speech about nudity and how women should dress and women in Hollywood versus Nigeria. So let's talk about Lily's birthday. We were excited for another royal baby. Weren't you excited?
I was very excited for another royal baby. We always love the birth of a royal baby. We always love as well. One of my favourite things about the birth of a royal baby is seeing all of the journalists filming behind the hospital and having to fill for literally 4 hours because they don't know what to say or when the royal mother is going to appear. It was really, really lovely that Lilibet was coming along. Obviously, remember, it was the Oprah interview where we found out that Meghan was having a girl, which was one of the brighter moments of the Oprah Winfrey interview. And what I was happy about as well was that was something that Meghan said during that interview that turned out to be true. So, points for that. I think it is really, really nice. She's really pretty. And of course, the only thing that was controversial was about the name Lilibet and whether that was a name that was appropriate, because of course there were a few raised eyebrows about that. But I think in general, not that we would, but I don't think there's anything particularly negative that you can say about Meghan and Harry when it comes to their children. Obviously, I think again during the Oprah interview there was the inference that they wouldn't be getting titles. That made me feel uncomfortable because it was sort of like, oh look, woe is me, but also I'm going to sort of make my children pawns in all of this, vomit fest of complaints. But if we put that aside, I think you can only see it as positive, right?
Right. Well, let's get into titles in a second because that wasn't true in the Oprah interview. And in fact, they rejected a title for Prince Archie. So the idea that they'd be sitting there complaining about titles when they literally rejected a title for Archie seems silly and hypocritical. But, they did name her after Queen Elizabeth. And a spokesperson for Harry and Meghan originally told People magazine in a statement that the Duke spoke with his family in advance of the announcement. In fact, his grandmother was the first family member he called. During the conversation, he shared their hope of naming their daughter Lilibet in her honor. Had she not been supportive, they would have not used her name. Don't you remember the BBC denied this claim? And Harry and Meghan threatened to sue the BBC. BBC said that Harry did not receive permission to name his daughter Lilibet. And then royal author Robert Hardman later claimed in his book about Queen Elizabeth that Harry and Meghan naming their daughter Lilibet did not please her. He wrote, one member of staff privately recalled that Elizabeth II had been angry as I'd ever seen her in 2021 after the Sussexes announced that she had given them her blessing to call their baby daughter Lilibet, the Queen's childhood nickname. I guess we should have mentioned that. This is a very intimate name. If you're watching this, you probably already know. But he continued, when the Sussexes tried to co-opt the palace into propping up their version of events, they were rebuffed. Once again, it was a case of recollections may vary. And I forgot.
Just to jump in, did they actually then sue the BBC who claimed that they didn't have permission? Funny that. It's funny, because they do love a court case. So it's funny how they didn't sue the BBC when it comes to that. But you're quite right, Lilibet was her childhood name, but I think as an adult, it was only Prince Philip who ever referred to her as Lilibet. Perhaps Princess Margaret as well, but only very, very close and intimate family members did.
And Hardman went on to say in his book, in fact, I understand the Queen was so upset by the Sussexes' decision that she told aides, I don't own the palaces. I don't own the paintings. The only thing I own is my name. And now they've taken that. And do you remember, because this was during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, Harry and Meghan tried to drag a professional photographer, like almost right as they landed, to the palace for portraits of Queen Elizabeth and Lily without warning. And the Queen and her team refused them. And then you kind of saw some of that behind the scenes during their Netflix docuseries, because you see the party they threw for Lily. You see this Vogue photographer that they take with them everywhere. The one that went to Nigeria with them, the one that submitted the photo for I think it's the National Portrait Gallery online. But that was like pretty audacious, like the audacity to try to drag a professional photographer to see the Queen with no warning to get photographs of Lily and Queen Elizabeth.
Well, firstly, at least it was a professional photographer. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if they got out their iPhones and started trying to do selfies with the late Queen Elizabeth. So, every cloud. But the interesting thing, because again, I don't think that it is inappropriate to name a child after another older member of the royal family. It's the intimacy of that particular nickname. And I wonder why they didn't name her Elizabeth. They could have still called her also Lilibet if they wanted to privately, but to the world, she could have been little Elizabeth. And I wonder why it was Lilibet particularly that they chose such an intimate nickname for the Queen.
Actions speak louder than words, and you can throw the nickname Lilibet on your daughter. But it was Paul Burrell that reported that on Lilibet's first birthday, when they were there, so close to everyone, that the Queen didn't get to see her. He said that the Queen saw her the day before, but on Lilibet's birthday, the Queen had a birthday cake made with one candle on it, and Harry and Meghan never turned up. That candle was never lit, Paul Burrell said. We do know that they threw the party for her at Frogmore Cottage because they filmed it for Netflix. But according to Burrell, just a day later, the Queen inquired if the couple would like to come to Buckingham Palace for some tea. She was told they've gone, Burrell recalled. What do you mean they've gone? She said. They've gone back to America. Oh no, they never said goodbye. I mean, oh my gosh, does that not crush your spirit? So you name your child after the Queen, but you hurt her feelings in such a way.
They are amazing. I mean, they are absolutely amazing. So we'll turn up with our photographer and we want you to fit in with our schedule. And then when you actually throw in a party, sorry, that doesn't fit in with our schedule for that first. So we're off. We're going to get on that private jet, inevitably, environment, and go back to America because that's our schedule. That's what works for us. And so I'm surprised they didn't ask Queen Elizabeth to get on the plane with them, because that would have been more convenient for them, maybe have her turn up. Maybe she could have, lugged some of the luggage around as well.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, tell me what your reaction is to this, because Prince Harry said in his 2023 People magazine cover story, I've said before that I've wanted a family, not an institution. So of course I would like nothing more than our children to have relationships with members of my family. And they do with some, which brings me great joy. I mean, that sounds very similar to the Good Morning America interview he did, where he said that, I believe he said something like illness might bring his family closer. He just talks out of one side and doesn't really deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, my God, does he talk? And that is the big problem as well. I mean, illness might bring my family together. What does he even mean by that? And also, why should it take illness to bring them together? I mean, yeah, great, illness, that'll bring you together. How wonderful. How you might, deign some sort of visit. Oh, yeah, you did get one and you stayed half an hour. So, again, I'm sorry, I can't. I really try and see the good. I know you do too. I really don't. try to deliberately see the bad, but it's really difficult not to.
I want to go ahead and just straight up say right now, and we can finish off on happy birthday, Lily. But I feel like we should just go ahead and say now, no one should expect any royals to wish Lily a happy birthday. See, they did it the first year she was here. And it feels like maybe they did it when she was born. I don't know if they did it on her first birthday. Perhaps they did. But it seems like now every year when Lily's birthday comes around, the headlines are, the royals didn't wish her a happy birthday. And it's like, well, Harry and Meghan are keeping them out of the limelight. So why would the royals continue to wish her very publicly in front of millions of followers a happy birthday if Harry and Meghan seem to really want to protect these two from the limelight?
And I think it also goes back to what it is that Harry and Meghan actually want when it comes to their relationship with the royals. Because you're quite right. I think if I was a member of the royal family, and you're right, commentators need to not read too much into the royal family not wishing Lilibet a happy birthday, and not say that this is some terrible negative thing towards Harry and Meghan. I think that's a really fair point. But also it does, like I say, drive into what it is that Meghan and Harry would also want from the royal family, because wishing Lilibet happy birthday would bring massive attention onto Lilibet. Do they want that when they like to keep their children private? Which, by the way, I'll also say is completely their right. Completely when it comes to their children. If they don't want Lilibet and Archie in the limelight, absolutely their right. And absolutely credit to them if that's what they want. That's how they want to keep it. But if the royal family did wish them happy birthday, people would say, well, hang on, why are you drawing attention onto Lilibet? When they don't wish them happy birthday, everyone says, well, look, they've sort of slighted Lilibet and been underhand towards her. So I think that does bring up one of the issues with Harry and Meghan's relationship with the royal family and how it's to be navigated going forward. But you're absolutely right. Criticism of the children themselves is off limits. And of course, Meghan and Harry wanting their children to be out of the public eye, they have every right for that to be the way in which they raise their children. And on that, they do deserve some credit, I think it's fair to say.
Even though the countdown is on to American Riviera Orchard's children's clothing debut, children's clothing line, children's toddler bows, it's all on the rise.
But then that's again very interesting, because if they stick Archie or Lilibet in any of those clothes, then I think it's open season, and I think it will then become, I think there will be more of a justification for some commentators. I still wouldn't, but I think some commentators to criticise Harry and Meghan when it comes to their children. So you've got to get it's a fine line, and you've got to get it right. I think once you start, it's like those celebrities that, parade their children in all the magazines, then say, I want privacy for them. Well, you can't have it both ways. And so I think it would be extremely misjudged. And I don't know if they would. I mean, it has been shown in the past that they will throw other family members under the bus when it comes to trying to sell stuff.
They did show the children throughout the Netflix series. Remember, we saw more of the children than we've ever seen throughout the Netflix series.
I think you're on dodgy ground when you do that. I really do, because then how can you ask for privacy for the children if you are showing them for commercial gain? And as well, again, one of the attractive things to a Netflix commissioner, and you and I have both worked in television in both the production and the on-camera side, is that a Netflix commissioner would go, right, what are we going to get from this documentary that we've never got before? Oh, we've never seen the children on camera. That's another tick for another exclusive, which we will pay for. So then you are, by doing that, putting your children out there for commercial gain. So they do have to tread carefully about that, because at the moment, they've managed to keep up a modicum of privacy. I don't know how much they will in the future if they keep doing that.
All right. Do you have this story in front of you? Meghan Markle's reunion with Suits cast teased by co-star in spin-off film. Do you want to tell me more about that?
Yeah. Now, Suits, of course, is the TV series that made Meghan famous. And my God, she worked that fame. I mean, it was quite a minor TV series. It wasn't really a huge TV show, but she worked it like there is no tomorrow to make the most out of that role. Now, apparently, Suits is continuing with a new cast of characters, but now one of the co-stars, this is Patrick J. Adams, has said that one of the original cast, so this was the cast including Meghan, could reunite for a feature film. Now, we've seen this with Sex and the City. We've seen this with lots of other series, that when they are huge global hits, not sure Suits ever was, but when they are huge global hits, the film companies have an eye on it for a huge commercial gain. Now, apparently, Aaron Korsh is open to the idea of an original cast movie, meaning that Rachel Zane, played, of course, by Meghan Markle, could be making an appearance. Now, do we think that that's likely to happen? Firstly, is this just sort of let's get in the headlines in order to get the Suits series with a new cast plugged, or do you think it was a big enough hit to have actually justified a movie with the original cast?
Well, I don't know if you're seeing this over there, but Patrick J. Adams is doing cellular telephone commercials here. He also appeared on Royal Match ads with me. I was on Royal Match ads. So people would be like, I'm watching you and Patrick J. Adams. So like Patrick J. Adams, is this wishful thinking for Patrick J. Adams, who's plugging T-Mobile right now, and during every commercial break of Lifetime. So I don't know how much it's wishful thinking for him, because Rachel was his wife. So it's really important that he can get her to return. It's important for his future that he could potentially get her to return for something. Otherwise, it's strange for him to show up and not have his wife there. Then you got so much to explain about why his wife isn't there. And I do think that people that love the show want the original cast. I have said in the past, I think Meghan believes that this is beneath her, that she's above this. I still feel that way, but from a PR perspective, I wonder if they would consider it, because it would remind people of who she was before they decided they disliked her.
Well, do you remember when Prince Harry was on the red carpet touting for acting work for Meghan, when he offered her services as a voice for an animated movie? So, who knows, Prince Harry is behind the scenes here, making desperate calls, trying to get her acting career reunited. Because now, obviously, as we know, and we've said this many, many times before, they'll probably put this on my grave. They're running out of ideas that don't involve trashing their family, that are commercially successful. Would it be beneath Meghan, though? I mean, okay, the issue that she would be facing if I was advising Meghan Markle, and to be honest, I don't think I'd ever get that job. But if I were advising Meghan Markle, I think you're less likely to get that job. But if we were advising Meghan Markle, I'd say, well, look, you are going to leave yourself open to, look, Meghan's backwards. Meghan's going back. Meghan is no longer the huge A-list philanthropist star turn she once was, because she's back doing Suits. The positive side would be, though, that it would open the door to potentially other acting roles, which I think she has got a huge fan base. I've found out her fan base online this week, which we'll get to later. So I think that commercially it could work. Reputation-wise, probably not. What do you think?
Well, I actually have a scoop about that, because I was talking to someone, one of my contacts recently, about the name American Riviera Orchard, and just how it was just very pretentious and I didn't understand the ultimate theme, along with everything going on in their lives. But they said the reason that she didn't relaunch the TIG, which was something she built from scratch, organically, something that she loved, it was probably her first baby. The reason she didn't relaunch the TIG was because she was fearful of the criticism that she looked like she was going backwards. And that is why she relaunched American Riviera Orchard. We're going to see a lot of the same stuff from the TIG on American Riviera Orchard. Interviews with celebrity pals, recipes, diaries, diary type entries, but she was so fearful of looking like she was going backwards. So I would say, yes, out of fear of looking like she's going backwards, she might reject an offer like that. However, she also strikes me as somebody based, and I imagine I'm visualizing the coffee Instagram video she did around the holidays where she was like pretending to be the intern in the Clever Coffee Instagram ad. I could also see her taking a very small cameo as, to try to look like she has some sort of like self-deprecating sense of humor. I can see her taking a bit part or just kind of being a background or a very brief character as a joke, as a,
No,
as,
I was about to make exactly that point that the 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 only way I could see it working would be a cameo, but I don't think it would be a tongue-in-cheek cameo. I think it would be a surprise, sort of 3 minutes at the end, where perhaps that character coming back solves whatever storyline is going on at the moment. We
Rachel
saw
the
it with.
Savior. Rachel the Savior. We've heard that one before.
Yeah, well, exactly. But actually, that I could see working, and that I think would be the way in which she could probably bridge the gap between. Well, she's not gone back. She's done one day's filming as a cameo, and then I wanted to lend my support to Suits the movie, but I didn't want to go back and do the whole movie because I don't need to. Sometimes from a PR perspective, and again, we both worked in PR. I mean, there's not a job you and I haven't done. But it's if you look at the way in which Jennifer Aniston was with Friends, sometimes it's better PR for the people who have to make the people look more successful when they've left a series. The fact that they won't ever go back, probably with the other five, a Friends reunion would have happened were it not for Jennifer Aniston's success, and her going back would have looked like almost beneath her, whereas the others, I think it could have worked. And I think it could probably be the same with Meghan, unless it's a very, very small cameo. I mean, Friends is a different example because they all had an equal part. But yeah, we saw it with Mamma Mia, here we go again. Meryl Streep, one scene at the end, so therefore they could trail she was in it. It was a lovely surprise, but she wasn't really in it. She didn't have to go back and do it all again. And so, yeah, I think that could work.
And Cristo, our resident Mamma Mia expert, as his mother, stars in the film, which I love that. I love that little piece of information.
Yeah, my mother is in Mamma Mia, the movie, and she plays Meryl Streep's cook. And I know that you forward wound and rewound and paused on the bit with my mother countless times, but I'm not allowed, as you know, Kinsey, legally, you are still not able to meet my mother because I'm afraid that the restraining order is still in place. And so I'm sorry about that.
Oh, darn. Okay, let's, we'll be brief on this because this is, I think it's interesting. I think it's telling, but there's not a lot of detail here. In November 2016, Prince Harry's communications secretary, this was Jason Knopf at the time, released a rare statement condemning the wave of abuse and harassment experienced by his then girlfriend after news of their romance became public. The statement remained on the royal family's official website in the years since, but the link is no longer active. I remember I was a news anchor in Sacramento at this time, and even we reported on it. Northern California, where like the biggest story is like, we've got the biggest pumpkin, or like there's a cow tipped over on the freeway. And we stopped and we reported this story when it came out. Mel, I've had some people reach out to me saying, did Harry and Meghan leak this for sympathy? And I said, I really don't think so. But if you read Revenge, you'll recall that Tom Bower accuses Meghan of threatening to leave Harry if he didn't stand up for her. And that is kind of why this whole press release came to fruition, upsetting Prince Charles at the time and Camilla because they had a huge engagement around the same time, stole a bunch of headlines. Do we feel like the removal of this from the website is the family saying we're washing our hands of these two, or is this just a natural evolution of website cleanup since we lost the Queen?
Again, I think this plays to the relationship between Harry and Meghan and the royal family and what that is now. You are quite right. At the time I was producing the daytime television show here in the UK called Loose Women, which is the equivalent of The View in the States, and it was a day I was producing, and I remember we cleared the first part of the show because it was so unprecedented to receive a statement eviscerating the press from a member of the royal family at that time. Absolutely unheard of. And obviously, there was at one point some sympathy. Oh, he's trying to protect his girlfriend. But on the other side, it was like, well, actually, the amount of alleged racism actually isn't that great. And also, you're actually opening up from a PR perspective again. You're opening up a massive can of worms now. It's sort of, isn't it called the Streisand effect, where you say, don't think about elephants. Well, that's all you're going to think about. Don't report badly on my girlfriend, and don't talk about her too much. Well, of course, now you've thrown a grenade, and that's everyone's going to talk about it because of this statement. So I think that it was probably well-meaning from a poor downtrodden Harry at the time, but incredibly misjudged. And to your question about why it's no longer there, well, firstly, absolutely, Meghan is on that royal website every day, refreshing it daily to see what parts of her and Harry are still on it. I've no doubt about that. Or she has a minion doing it for her, without a doubt. But of course, it was something. I'm surprised it hasn't been deleted before now, to be honest, because it is so not in line with something that the royal family does. And if you think of the way in which Camilla was reported on by the royal family over the years, if you think of yeah, absolutely, and they all just put up with it. So again, I would not be surprised if the royals. I'm surprised the royals took this long to say, let's get that off the website, because actually this is not our relationship with the media. This does us no good with the media, and unfortunately there will always be articles that are going to criticize us. We're not above that criticism, and so therefore let's not remind anyone of this moment where Harry tried to take it all into his own hands, and I think actually it was the beginning of the end.
Really quickly, because I know we're running out of time, talk to me about some of the backlash you've received over the last few days.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm glad you brought this up. Okay, so there was a story. I do a little something called the Right Royal Roundup on my Talk TV show. And it's just, a few minutes of me talking to the camera. And, well, I made some comments which I've had a bit of a backlash on.
Tell me.
I spoke to you about this story actually off air, and about whether Princess Catherine was genuinely upset by the launch of American Riviera Orchard when it took place and the timing. And I remember you're very wise, Kinsey. You said to me, look, I just, she's got so much on her mind that why would she be looking at the Instagram page of Meghan? But it's part of my Right Royal Roundup. I covered it, as I said, and I've received a massive amount of comments, both on the actual video itself and on Twitter, saying, "What are you talking about?" Exactly mirroring your wisdom, Kinsey. What are you talking about? Of course, Catherine's got 3 children. Princess Catherine's got 3 children. She's been ill. She's not going to give 2 hoots about American Riviera Orchard and the launch. I was trying to make the point of how vile I thought it was actually that launch took place whilst the news cycle was concentrating on this cancer story. And I still think that was vile. But where I think I was probably wrong, and where I should probably apologise, because I don't want people to be messaging Kensington Palace, having a go about that. Where I was probably wrong is that, of course, Princess Catherine has far more in her life to worry about than checking out Meghan Markle's Instagram page. And so I should have listened to your wisdom, Kinsey, because you were across that where you said to me, it's nonsense. Of course she's not worrying. And you are always right, Kinsey.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you. That's very nice of you. I think we should end on that high note, on that fact check.
Oh, yeah, we'll end on you being right. Okay, fine.
Mic drop. All right, so do you agree with Cristo and I? Do you disagree with us? Apparently, a lot of you have disagreed with Cristo in the last 24 hours. So let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like this video and subscribe. And thanks so much for watching Pump Up the Jam. I'm Kinsey Schofield.
And I'm Cristo. Thank you. See you next time.